Do you want onions that last all winter long? No rot, no sprouting. Here's the complete start to finish guide for UK gardeners. Following comments over the last 2 or 3 videos, I realised that there's a gap in the knowledge for some people when it comes to onions, and in particular how to cure and store your onions. Today we shall be showing you how to cure and store onions the right way, from the moment they're ready to the moment you pull one from your pantry in February. Plus, we shall burst some common myths and we shall give you some bonus tips on shallots and garlic. The secret to storage when it comes to onions is timing. You want to be harvesting your onions when around about 50 to 60% of the tops are starting to fall over. At that point, you can push the rest over so that the necks don't get too thick. I time our sowings back in January so that we get a harvest of our onions and our shallots somewhere between mid and late July. Ignore the calendar and trust your plants. When you see those tops going over, you know that you are really close to the point when you can harvest your onions. Check each onion as you harvest for any thick necks, any splits or any nicks where maybe you've touched it with the hoe, and also any that may have bolted. Set those aside and use those onions first. They will not store well. Shake off any loose soil, but don't wash them. Your onion skin is its natural armour. Once they're harvested, you want to begin the curing process, and they need to go somewhere dry and airy. You don't want the onions to be rained on. Also spread them out so that they're laying singularly and not piled on top of each other. This could be a table or a rack, or as you see here, ours are just simply in crates. So long as they're lying singularly, then they will cure very, very well. I've brought them outside today because it's going to be a dry day, the sun is shining and there's a bit of a breeze in the air, and they're just about there with their curing. It also helps that periodically you can just turn the onion so that all sides get an equal amount of air circulation, the warmth, so that they cure evenly. A good airflow is a must when it comes to curing onions, and here in the UK it's going to take around 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks for that to happen. I thought I'd address some of the comments that I've seen over the last 4 years that myself and Mrs. W have been making videos on our channel, and do a bit of myth busting. First one is washing them before putting them in storage will make them cleaner. No, washing removes protective layers and it adds moisture. Hello mold. The next one that I often hear is onions and potatoes store well together. Well, no, actually they don't. You want to keep your potatoes and onions stored in separate places. Potatoes give off moisture and gas that makes onions sprout, so keep them separate. Any cool space is fine to store onions. No, onions also need ventilation to store for long periods, not just a cool space. Putting them in a cupboard and closing the door, all you're doing is promoting a rot factory. While you're curing them, do not cut down the foliage and do not take off the roots. This will happen after the curing process has finished. And what you're looking for is the onions will have papery skins. The necks will have dried completely out and the roots will have gone all wiry. Once they reach this point, you can now cut the foliage off and the roots. And what I like to do is to just rub them between my hands, and any of the loose skins will come off, but also any remaining loose dirt will also fall away. When it comes to actually storing your onions, you could choose to braid them. It's a popular method, and if you don't have too many onions, it's a great space-saving technique. You can also use mesh bags, the kind of bags that you see carrots may be stored in, and that's fine. But don't pile too many into that bag, because again, you still want the airflow to be there. And of course, there is the good old reliable string method. If you've got a lot of onions like us, and we try to grow enough that they'll last us at least until March or April, I find the best way to store them is actually in these crates. Again, keep them singularly, don't pile them up on top of each other. And these crates, they have holes underneath so that the air can circulate around it. And while they're stored singularly, I can just put these on top of one another, and we just take the onions as and when we need them. So once you've braided them or put them in nets or got them in your crates, where do you store them? An unheated garage is a really good place. Onions store best at around 4 to 10 degrees. They do not want sunlight on them. They want to be cool, frost-free. That's the best place to store your onions. Wherever you store them, it does want to be damp-free. If any moisture gets into these onions whatsoever, they will fail to store for very long. And of course, we've mentioned it many times during this video so far, but good ventilation is absolutely key. Once your onions are in storage, do check them monthly. Remove any that are soft or mouldy or sprouting. It's important you do this because one rotten onion could ruin the rest. If you do find any that are splitting, just put those aside and use them first. They just won't store very well, but they'll still eat very nicely. Shallots, they cure just the same as onions. They just tend to do it a bit faster. They're not as large. When it comes to storing garlic, they love even more airflow. But it's the same principle. Once the skins have gone crispy, the roots have gone wiry, and the stems are completely dry, then you can just cut them down to the appropriate size, because you might want to braid these. They'll need to be cut around here. But if you're not going to braid them, then bring them down to within about ½ an inch of the bulb. I'll share a full garlic and shallot storing guide soon, so do make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Which storage method will you use this year? Or do you have a myth that you'd like busted? Do let us know in the comments. The comments are really valuable to myself and Mrs. W, so no matter how silly you think the question might be, do always leave us a comment, leave us your thoughts. As you've seen today, they very often help us formulate a video that we're going to be making. And don't forget, healthy soil means healthy plants that give you bigger harvests. Now, if you're new to the channel, maybe new to gardening, and you think you might want to grow some onions, and you want to see the full process from seed to table, then watch this video next.